My name is Jose Vizquerra. I am president and CEO for OIII Mining, a multi-million ounce gold company with assets in Val-d'Or, one of the best jurisdictions in the world.
Jose, nice to see you again. Good to be talking with you. This series that we're looking at is Contrarian investing. And I wonder if you could just give me a few views, a few of your thoughts on where the market capitalization is relative to its peers, given the downturn that we've seen right across the sector, both over 2 years. You know, we've since the gold market peaked in 2020, and then we've had this further leg down in 2022 since the Ukraine war. Or the tech sell-off. So could you just give me an overview of kind of how you see the market sentiment, please?
Well, clearly by 2020, the market sentiment was much better than now. Reason why different companies were peaking and gold prices were higher. I don't have the precise answer why the gold price now is where it is, but I certainly believe that the gold price will have a bump as we get towards 2023. And that has been following even our own stock, where we picked by 2020, and now we are probably at the lowest levels that we have been for the past 2 years.
And what do you think is going to be the catalyst within the resources sector for interest to come back into the gold equities? Because let's say the gold price does start to move a bit, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the equities are going to run.
Well, I mean, so far the equities has been going together with the gold price. No, when the gold price has been at their peak, the equities have been going higher, and now that gold prices are way lower, the different equities are trading lower. So I do think that there is a correlation there. What I don't understand yet is why the gold price has not rallied yet with what's happening in the world. But clearly, with the interest rates being increased by the Fed, these will certainly affect the world, or the person in of the walking person, if you want to call it, and eventually will be reflected in the gold price.
But I like to think that I'm a contrarian investor. I like to think that I can pick a theme or a view. And last year, I was pretty sure that 2022 was going to be a good year for gold. And so I bought some gold exploration companies. I bought some stock, and I'm down. I've lost quite a lot of money on that.
No, you have not lost, because you have not sold it, unless you sold it.
No, I haven't sold. No, the prices are done.
You're doing precisely what you have to be doing, what we're all doing, which is preparing ourselves to buy now. So when the time comes and it goes up, then you'll make money and sell it. Then you will make money because you would sell it, and then you have the money in your pocket.
That's the plan. My goodness. I often hear people saying that we need to see the majors coming in and buying these resource assets. I mean, it's almost cheaper now to buy a company than to go and explore for gold yourself. I mean, what's your valuation on a resource ounce at the moment?
So we are essentially trading at an enterprise value of $15 to $20 million, depending on the day. Clearly, this is unfortunately for us a moment where you're essentially buying cash with the upside of the deposit that we have, which is one of the better deposits in the region of Quebec, in Val-d'Or. So, I mean, clearly from a contrarian standpoint of view, if you were looking for an asset to maximize value as the gold price goes up, because it will go up, this is precisely the moment where you should be accumulating OIII Mining stock. And I said it with a lot of assurance, because I mean, right now in moments like this, cash is king, and what we have right now precisely is cash. So I think this is a good moment where you can take a risk with not a lot of risk, in a sense, with the company we're running now.
Have you slowed down your drilling program to conserve cash? I mean, the plan was to drill 84,000 meters during the year. Have you kind of reached a point where you've drilled, I don't know, 55,000 meters or something, and thought, actually, now it's time to
Well,
to take care of the market conditions.
Correct. So the program was essentially to convert everything from inferred to measured and indicated and finalize the pre-feasibility study, which has been finished by November. So right now we are moving towards the feasibility study, but in that regard, we do not have to spend more money into the drilling. So we are really focusing right now on expanding the drilling, essentially to explain to our investors that what we have on the pre-feasibility is just the base on where we're going to keep building something that will be even much better than what we have seen. What I mean by that is we have right now 10 years of production for 160,000 ounces average, which makes or give us a net present value of $463 million net present value. But if we have more inferred resources, then that means that we will have more mine for the next couple of years, which means that we could be moving from $463 million net present value to $700 million net present value. So we're just focusing on expanding the resources right now. We are very conscious of the scarcity of cash, and therefore we do not have as aggressive budget as we had on the previous years.
You talk about adding to the NPV of an asset, but if you add mine life, you know, the future cash flow gets very heavily discounted. So it's typically not after. So it does after year 15, but the difference between year 10 and year 15 is actually pretty substantive. Okay. But even with that, I often think that the equity market doesn't appreciate kind of long life assets, but the resources sector does, as in the industry likes that or understands the power of continued cash flow over many years. And on that basis, and often, you know, you need to see kind of consolidation or producers coming in and buying assets as a trigger for. And actually, this leads back to my earlier question about, you know, what's going to cause the share price to go up. It's almost you almost need that consolidation, the takeover premium to kind of be established back in the market before you see these the juniors and the developers, the explorer developer companies running. Do you see that happening at all? Do you see any indication of the mid-tier producers looking to pick up long life assets?
Well, absolutely. I mean, even in the region where we are, we're right now going through the buyout from Goldfields to Yamana, which is happening as we speak. Will be finished in the next couple of weeks. So clearly, there is some movement in the region. No?
But that's not that hasn't come down the food chain, so to speak. You know, that's kind of mid-tier or large cap to mid-tier. I mean, it's when it kind of filters through to the junior developers that could be a trigger.
Yeah, and I'm sure that will come. I think it's just a matter of time. I think people need to solve their own things before they move. If we put things into consideration, the two major companies that are around, at least the area where we operate, are Agnico, which recently finished a deal with Kirkland Gold, which they are probably just moving all the pieces that they need in order to be back into track, if you want to call it. And Goldfields is just in the middle of a takeover with Yamana. So I think it's important that we are seeing this, and then it will trickle as you explain. I prefer to move the things on what we can do rather than expecting that something comes. If something happens from a takeover standpoint of view, that's okay, but we cannot be waiting for that to happen for us to move. We have to execute on a plan, which is to put this into production by 2026.
So the plan is production by 2026. In your presentation, you've got a number of kind of milestones in the months ahead. Environmental permitting, feasibility study into 2023. Can you see that in your company or perhaps in other companies that there's a change in value ascribed to the asset once it has got it's de-risked? I mean, we do these studies, the pre-feasibility study, the feasibility study, for a reason. But do you expect to see that in the valuation of the stock?
100,000%. Worldwide, we see that permitting is one of the difficult things in any mining project. Doesn't matter where you are. We're very privileged to be in Quebec, where we know that permits take some time, but we know what are the steps that you have to follow, and you finally get the permits. But having the permits definitely put you in a very different position. First of all, because you can actually deal with the banks and start thinking about how you're going to finance this. And also will bring the attention of other players, because once you're ready to build, it's a total different story.
Have you had any kind of change in your relationship with the market since the pre-feasibility study has been published? I mean, has that de-risking it had any impact on the conversations you've been able to have with funds or with any level of kind of your shareholder base?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a pre-feasibility ready, as we have, you have a different conversations, certainly with the different financiers, the guys that will be helping you to build the mine, and of course from the different companies, major companies that are looking at your company, or mid-tier companies, right? I mean, those companies that are already into production, they appreciate much more those assets that has been de-risked, and they do their homework. No?
But it doesn't transfer into kind of share price performance in the short term necessarily, but it comes.
It will not. And we know this. I mean, the Lassonde curve or the Simon-Schulich curve, whatever you want to call it, has been showing this for ages. We don't have to invent the pill here. We know exactly what's going to happen. This is going to be maintained as we speak, and as soon as this keeps moving in the food chain, will go up again, or in the middle, we could find a discovery, and then that will shift the curve, or major intermediate company could take the chance to acquire us, which is also a possibility.
So why would a Contrarian investor want to buy OIII Mining today? Why not wait until the end of 2023 when perhaps the feasibility studies come out?
I don't know if you would want to call it a contrarian investor, but a smart investor will know that fundamental value matters and that cash is king, and whomever has cash will be the one that will prevail. We have a lot of cash. We have very good ounces in one of the best jurisdictions in the world. So if you want to make money, you will be investing right now, because you know that the very worst that could happen right now is that someone comes and take us over for a 40 to 60% premium. So what are your chances of losing something? Very little.
Jose, you've put it very succinctly. Thank you very much for your time. That's great.
Thank you so much for your time.